Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, I want you to start by picturing a seriously frustrating scenario. Imagine you reach into your pocket, or maybe you're digging through your kitchen junk drawer, but every single match in existence is completely soaked, just ruined, totally useless. Really visualize that for a second. What if we just didn't have matches? Think about the massive headache of trying to do everyday tasks that we completely take for granted right now. Lighting a stove to cook dinner, sparking a candle during a sudden blackout, or just trying to get a campfire going on a weekend trip. Without this magical, unassuming little stick, our world suddenly becomes incredibly difficult to navigate, right? I mean, for the vast majority of human history, starting a fire meant an agonizing 2-hour struggle. You were literally out in the elements, violently grinding sticks together or rubbing stones until your hands blistered, just praying for a tiny wisp of smoke. Today, we get a brilliant 1-second strike. It's a casual flick of the wrist we barely even register. But getting from those 2 hours of absolute agony to that 1 second of pure convenience, well, that was a wild and honestly, sometimes deadly ride. Section 1. The dark world before matches. Okay, let's dive into this. For millennia, our ancestors were completely dependent on those exhausting friction methods. We're talking striking flint against iron or using rudimentary magnifying glasses to catch the sun. Eventually, civilizations tried to cheat the system a bit. The Romans got clever and started using sulfur-tipped sticks. But here's the massive catch. They could only light those sticks from an already existing flame. Similarly, in ancient China, they used sulfur sticks, but merely to transport a fire from one room to another. Fire was a precious, fragile commodity. You didn't just create it out of thin air. You guarded it with your life. Section 2. Deadly sparks of the 19th century. So the massive breakthrough actually happens in 1826. An Englishman named John Walker created the very first friction match. He mixed sulfur and potassium chlorate, and you could light it by vigorously striking it on a piece of sandpaper. Absolute game changer, right? Well, there was a glaring problem. These early matches were incredibly unstable. They were notorious for just randomly igniting entirely on their own. Imagine walking down the street, casually carrying a box of tiny, unpredictable explosives in your coat pocket. Seriously, what could possibly go wrong? To make matches more reliable and easier to strike, manufacturers turned to the early days of industrial chemistry, specifically a chemical called white phosphorus. Now, while it made the matches strike beautifully and consistently, there was a very dark reality here. White phosphorus was extremely, dangerously poisonous. The integration of this chemical literally turned a handy new tool into a lethal health hazard for anyone involved in making them. And the victims weren't usually the people buying the matches, they were the factory workers. The toxic fumes of white phosphorus led to a horrific occupational disease known medically as Phossy jaw. It literally rotted the jawbones of the workers who breathed it in day after day. It's absolutely crucial to grasp this visceral horror, so we firmly established that for the 19th century factory worker, the match was definitely not a symbol of convenience. It was a terrifying symbol of danger and disease. Section 3. Industrial Revolution and Safety Matches. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the pivotal year 1844. This is the exact year a Swedish inventor named Gustaf Pasch stepped onto the world stage and finally solved the deadly white phosphorus problem once and for all. Pasch had a stroke of pure, practical genius. He realized, hey, you don't actually have to put all the volatile, dangerous chemicals right on the matchstick itself. He simply separated them. Step 1, he put a safe, non-toxic chemical called red phosphorus exclusively on the striking surface of the box. Step 2, he put the rest of the chemical mixture on the match head. So the match head ignites only upon striking that very specific surface. With this brilliant 2-part mechanism, he created the world's first true safety match. And this perfectly illustrates how a simple shift in design can quite literally change the world. Mass production of Pasch's safety matches completely democratized fire. It entirely eliminated the terrifying risk of poisoning for the factory workers and, thankfully, stopped those random explosions in people's pockets. Suddenly, a deadly industrial hazard was transformed into a perfectly safe, reliable, everyday household item that anyone could use without fear. Section 4. Matches in the modern era. You know, the match hasn't disappeared. It's just become highly specialized. Think about it. We have sturdy, thick kitchen matches for our stoves. We have extra long matches to safely reach deep into fireplaces. We have heavy-duty waterproof matches that survivalists absolutely rely on in the pouring rain. And we even have those elegant, decorative matchbooks handed out at high-end hotels. This really proves their continued relevance and their incredible adaptability across completely different environments. Now, of course, we have to acknowledge the ongoing modern competition. Gas and electric lighters definitely dominate our pockets today. They're refillable, they're fast, they're high-tech. But the traditional match industry is actually fighting back. There's a massive current push to manufacture eco-friendly matches, utilizing sustainable wood and biodegradable chemicals to appeal to the environmentally conscious consumer. So, the simple wooden stick is absolutely still in the game. Section 5. Lessons from a small stick. Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds, visually summarizing humanity's monumental journey from the Dark Ages to accessible light. It's actually staggering. We evolved from the desperate Stone Age struggle of striking flint, to the chaotic, explosive 19th century white phosphorus matches, to the brilliant 1844 safety match, right up to the modern convenience of the pocket lighter. Every single step on this journey was a monumental leap in human mastery over our environment. So the crucial takeaway here is perfectly captured in this quote. The match is the silent teacher of history. The true value of a match doesn't lie in its simple wooden appearance, does it? No, it lies in the historical spark it represents. It teaches us exactly how we learned to tame danger, how we innovated our way through some seriously deadly mistakes, and how we eventually managed to put one of nature's most destructive and life-giving forces safely right into our own pockets. History is always hidden in the smallest, most everyday details around us. The next time you effortlessly strike a match, remember you aren't just lighting a candle. You're holding the direct result of millennia of struggle and scientific revolution. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What other simple, overlooked items sitting in your home right now are quietly hiding a history that changed the world? Keep observing, and if you made it this far, comment the word match down below. I will catch you in the next explainer.